Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4 or 5 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day 5. Now, this emotional sequence, the 4 or 5, has been pretty difficult. We've talked about this now for some time. And the reason it's been so difficult is what this unseen pattern of electromagnetics does. Okay. So when we broke the mathematics of our existence, when we figured out why we exist and the math that makes it possible, what we realized is this that this unseen pattern is agitating our defensive design. You see, before we understood this pattern, we definitely knew that we were defensive. We have a defensive system of control. It's unconscious. It's called the fight or flight mechanism. What we didn't know, however, is how this pattern activates that defensive system of control. And what this is a predetermined pattern that literally guides the chaos, keeps unfolding not only in our individual lives, but in the bigger picture. Now, you can understand that if we're designed to be defensive and we have a pattern that just keeps activating our defenses again and again and again, what it does is it just creates more and more stress. And eventually that stress is what, causes everyone to age and have problems, both at the smaller level, but also at the larger level. You see, think about it. How many civilizations are still standing? They're not. Every civilization has an expiration date, just like our civilization will have an expiration date. Every individual has an expiration date. That's when they die. This is the pattern that accelerates the rate in which we age and which we die. If you can overcome your defensive design, and when this pattern elevates and agitates it, not act defensively, what does that mean? It means that you don't ignore your problems and run away from them, and that it means you won't stand up and fight for your opinions and make your problems worse, because both of those things create stress. And the more individuals that create stress and the more stress you endure, the faster you age and the faster you get sick and the faster you die. Now, let's just do a quick review here, all right? So, when we look at these graphs, we worry about the number 4. If we reach the number 4 and hold at a number 4, that's a lot of agitation to our defensive design. And this has been going on for days right now. Now, for the first 3 days, it was agitating us in first person. Those are all the people that are around us on a day to day basis. And then on day 4, it swapped out and it went from first person to third person. This is the bigger philosophical beliefs that individuals invest in. Now, what we do is we combine these two things because stress is messy. Whether you're mad at somebody in your own social structure or whether you see something on the news that makes you upset, it's pretty hard to let that go. So what we do is we create a combined. And this combined has been running at a 4 or above a 4 and will continue to do this at least halfway through day 5 before it finally lets up just a little bit. Now you can see that this double mental polarity flip that we talked about in the previous 24 hours, it drops down a little bit and it just goes into a single, okay? But this is going to continue through the rest of the sequence. So there is no rest for the weary here. We are going to be exhausted. Why? Because you can't stop your defensive design from being agitated. And when your defensive design is constantly being primed, it's going to start to fatigue us. And once we get fatigued, it's even harder to stay calm, cool, and balanced and not react defensively. You see, this is a predetermined pattern, just like our genetics are predetermined. And how you deal with this pattern really actually predicts how fast you're going to age and what parts of your body are going to have problems. So let's show you how this works. We're going to move down here now and we're going to talk about the overall objective and how these frequencies govern us and also how they're trying to teach us. So everything in this sentient space-time reality is made possible by interconnected frequencies. Everything that exists is nothing but molecules that vibrate. It's just frequency, okay? Now, what we've done is we've organized these frequencies of how they're not only connected to the creation we exist within, but how they're connected to our individual bodies. Now, what we're supposed to be doing here is we're supposed to be getting along with all of the teammates that exist in our interconnected experience. And no one can argue this. We all come from families. Every single one of us born either a son or a daughter, which means we came from a mother and a father. That's how this works. Interconnected families, and we're just offensive in design, so it's hard for us to get along with one another. Now, once we start to understand that our defensive design has been used against us, it's not people that we think we're mad at, it's really our inability to overcome our defensive design. So, the first thing we got to do is we got to work through our past stress and bring our teams back together. Why would you want to do that? Well, whatever members of the team you don't get along with, that's connected to specific parts of your body. So the members of the team that you have the hardest time with, well, that's where your body is going to age the fastest. When you're out of frequency, destructive interference is going to accelerate aging and cause disease states to that quadrant of your body. We're all connected to the same family, and we should be treating everyone as if they're mothers, fathers, daughters, and sons. What's the difference between the older members of the team and the younger members of the team? Well, the younger members of the team, maybe they haven't developed their skill yet that they're going to contribute to the team, and they're really not sure about the team dynamic yet, and they're still learning their place within the team. The older members, they've been here a while. We're supposed to be helping these younger team members think of these like the captains of the team. So now when you look around the world, we're just this big interconnected family, and whoever you're having trouble getting along with, whether it's the younger members or the older members, maybe it's the feminine members versus the masculine members, whoever it is that you're having trouble getting along with. And what does that mean, trouble? Well, if you're acting defensively, if you're running away from them, or if you're fighting with them, that means you're not doing very well with them. And what's going to happen is that's going to be reflected in the health of your body. Now, when we get to this side, these are the perspectives that we have to invest in. Now, every family member is supposed to invest in a balanced routine. Now, because again, we're defensive in design, a lot of us have not been balancing our routines because our defensive design convinces us, well, we come first. We got to take care of us, or we got to take care of our family, or we got to take care of our nation first. But the truth is, we're all part of the same family. We just live in different parts of the world. So every family member is expected to be balancing their routines on a day-to-day basis, and whatever they contribute better leave this world a better place for every family, for every individual, for every nation, and it better create a balanced, stable society and environment for the entire world. Now, none of us have been doing that. How can we be certain? Look around. Our nations are falling apart and feuding with one another, and our climate is destabilizing. And it's very apparent. And this is because we've just been letting our defensive design in this pattern up here convince us to create stress and chaos. Now, what Health Reconnected is trying to help you understand is why that stress and chaos has to happen. Well, it's how we learn. Now that we learned what this is and we know what this is, unfortunately, it's still going to be difficult. Why? Because that pattern up there uses the way we feel against us. It's using our feelings to try to get us to act defensively. So even knowing what this pattern is and knowing exactly what we're supposed to do, it's still going to be difficult, but at least now you know what to do. Now, these are the rewards if you do it. You see, if you get along with all the members of the team and you decide to change your routine, and everybody's going to have to make changes. That's why our world is falling apart right now. If they decide to do that, these are the immediate benefits. You can slow aging to all these quadrants to almost a crawl. And if you have quadrants that are having disease states or accelerated damage, you'll slow that damage. And if you do this for long durations where you stay in balance with these frequencies, they can heal you. Now, that's the immediate benefit. Now, this is an objective, and it's designed to be hard, which means there's a really big reward if you accomplish this. Now, this really big reward is this. It's you get to get out of this negative feedback loop we're in right now. You see, we're in the toughest side of this space-time reality. There's another side of this space-time reality that is much easier. Think of it like retirement. It's a positive feedback loop. We're in a negative feedback loop. If you overcome the suffering, if you overcome all the emotions that you have that make you think you don't have to get along with people and make you think you're better or you don't have to balance because what you get is more important than what future generations get, well, then you do this some more. And you just keep doing this until you decide, well, you're not any more important than anybody else, and you do have to get along with everybody. Then you get to go to a positive feedback loop where everything is nice and comfortable and smooth. Now, we show how this math works and how this is possible. And we want you to know that how you conduct yourself in this lifetime is going to make a difference for your next existence. So what I'm saying here is this. There is literally philosophical heaven and a philosophical hell, and you happen to be existing in the philosophical hell side of this space-time reality. Now, we're trying to help you get out of there. There would be no plausible explanation why anybody would want to stay here, because I promise you, if you fail when you're doing well, it doesn't get easier, okay? So again, trying to help you here, we know what causes aging, we know what causes disease, we know why we exist, and now we're giving you everything we can to assist you in this process so you can make this better for you and the people you care about. And as long as you balance and stay balanced till your last day, that's all it takes to graduate. Now, promise you it's going to be difficult, but we're here to help that. All right. Now, We'll prove this to you. And this is what we do the 24-hour zoomed in forecast for. So this is day 5 zoomed in. And why we do this is we want to synchronize these peaks, these electromagnetic peaks that are going to agitate and manipulate our choices with the times of the day. Now, we do this for all 24 time zone offsets. So if you come down here, you find the correct time zone for your area. Once you have the correct time zone, this holds for 10 seconds and then you screenshot it. Now, this is for people that don't have good internet. So when you are around internet, you'd open up this, you'd find your time zone offset, you'd screenshot it. Now you've got it and you can reference when this stuff is going to happen. If you've got great internet, you go to our homepage, healthreconnected.com. We've got a live feed. You hit play. It shows you exactly where we are with a time bar as it traverses through the sequence. Now, all we have to have you do is this. Just check it. The second you get upset, the second you're starting to feel defensive, the second someone around you is getting defensive, check it. You're going to see that it's in these elevated moments. And the more elevated this pattern becomes, the more likely it is that people are going to be agitated and fighting. And if you know when you're going to be agitated, you can prepare for it and you cannot be tricked by it. Because if you allow this pattern to manipulate you, it is creating your suffering. It's as easy as that. Now, in theology, they talked about this unseen force of evil or the idea of a devil. Here it is. This is the unseen pattern of chaos, and if you don't understand it, it uses your design against you. That's the theology that connects to what this is. All right, so that's the first way we prove this to you. But again, you got to care. You got to not want to act defensive, and you got to use the technology so you can see that every single time it's happening, there's a reason it's happening. It's predicted. All right, so we kind of already talked about today. It's going to be a high alert day, and you can see in the first 12 hours. There's a heck of a peak here. We get up to 7 and we hold for about 4 or 5 hours before it drops down. And then when the second 12 hours starts, we jump back up to a 6 again. And you can see first person is going to be a problem in the first 12 hours. Third person is going to be the problem in the second 12 hours. All right, that's enough about that. All right, so the second way that we help you understand that this is a mathematical construct, and besides confirming you're in this, then there's nothing more to do than to try to get the objective done. Because if you don't do the objective, there's nothing but penalties. Now, these are amplified moments that will show you that if you're out of balance with either your relationships or your routines, you're going to feel something not so pleasant. Now, the blue ones are testing to see how well you're getting along with your teammates, whether they're male, female, older, or younger. And the purple ones are testing to see how balanced your routine is, whether it's at the individual, the family, the national, or the world level. So when the time bar is progressing through these alignments, it's just when two frequencies that are testing the same quadrant in your body are testing the same thing at the same time. This is the low-hanging fruit. This is when we can really point out and say, hey, ever wonder why that headache kicked up, or why your knee pain flared all of a sudden, or why you had some visual changes that lasted for a couple hours and then it got better? This is why. Now, please understand this. These are just amplified moments 24/7. We're being tested on how well we get along with teammates and how balanced our routines are. So you're going to want to take this serious. These are just the places that it's easy to prove it, okay? So let's talk about these alignments. The first one we're going to talk about is the PE. Now, the PE on the space side has to do with how we get along with teammates. And these upper parts of the body, or the yellow and the green, that has to do with the older or more mature teammates. And you're going to want to be able to get along with males and females that are older and mature. If you have trouble getting along with maturing females and males, then you are going to have problems in this alignment in both the upper and right quadrants of the body during this hour and a half time. Now, no matter who the teammate is, you just have to communicate, you have to cooperate, you have to coordinate, you have to help them alleviate their stress, and you have to talk about balancing routines and what we need to change to ensure that we're going to create a better future for generations of families to come. Period. That's all you got to do. If you're not doing that, the more you're not doing that, and the more you're struggling with balancing that, the more these quadrants are going to hurt during this alignment, and the faster they're going to deteriorate. All right, let's keep moving. Now we're going to talk about the PE on the time side. This is a 4-hour alignment, a little bit longer. This is testing to see how we're balancing our routines. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there are a lot of people that are going to feel these two alignments as they're happening simultaneously. We're being tested on how well we get along with mature teammates, as well as how well we're trying to balance at the larger level. And it's obvious we haven't been balancing at the larger level. If we had been, our climate wouldn't be in such deteriorated state then our social conflict wouldn't be at the states that it's at right now. So a lot of people are going to feel this one. And when you do, it's just reassuring you that your choices matter and you got to start the balancing going forward. All right, let's keep moving here. The next one we're going to talk about are these MEs. We're going to talk about the space side first. Again, now we're getting tested on those older members of the team again. Now, specifically, this one's only going to affect the left upper quadrant. So when the time bar goes through this, you're going to feel it primarily in the left part of the body or the left quadrant of the body. If you have negative experiences, it's going to tell you you're out of balance. The more out of balance you are, the more negative your experiences will be. So now we're going to do the ME on the time side. This has to do with balanced routines at this lower level of the body, right? This is individual and family, how we contribute at those two levels. If we're out of balance in the smaller picture, meaning what we do at a day-to-day basis to help ourselves or help our families, we're going to feel this one in the left lower quadrant. This is a 2.5 hour alignment. And the more unbalanced you are, meaning the more you prioritize your family over all the other families or your individual self over all the other individuals, well, the more damage you're going to do to this part of your body. So the last one we're going to talk about is this ME. This is a space alignment. This is an 1.5 hour alignment. This is testing to see how well we get along with the younger members of the team, the less mature members, both masculine and feminine. So if you struggle with communication, cooperation, helping younger members alleviate stress, or talking about the importance of balanced routines and working together with them, the more trouble you have with that and the more defensive you are with younger members, well, the more problem you're going to have with these quadrants of your body. That's how that works. Again, these are just the amplified moments that when you feel them. That's what space-time let us do. It let us understand when we would be tested, how these tests are connected to our body, so we can show you when you're going to feel certain things. And if we're predicting what you're feeling, then you can be pretty confident that this is exactly what this is, what you're in. Okay, that's how that works. Let's keep moving here. Now, in a 24-hour period of time, there are many frequencies that are going to test this. And we do the same thing here. If we get more than 4 frequencies in a quadrant, that's a lot of a test load. You can expect to probably feel that quadrant more than you would if one was under 4. So you can see upper left, that's above a 4 for the first 12 hours, and then it drops to a 4 in the second 12 hours. Upper right, at that number 4 and pretty much stays there the entire sequence. Lower left, same thing, maybe a little kick up in the last 12 hours. Lower right, under the 4, but then reaches the 4 in the second 12 hours. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what quadrants of your body you're probably going to stiffen up or tighten up, especially if you're struggling with all of these things, which most of us are. These two charts show where the strongest frequencies are going to test us in the next 24-hour period of time. These strong frequencies really set the tone, okay? So when they really pile up in a quadrant, when we get a lot of them in one quadrant, you're going to expect to feel that quadrant a little more. It's just a heavier test load. That's what that means. Now, in first person here, that's all about teammates. You see how there's nothing in this right lower quadrant? But over on third person, which is our routines, there are 2 strong frequencies. So if you get right lower quadrant pain in this next 24-hour period of time, and it stays the whole 24 hours, you can be certain that your routines at the smaller level are what's out of balance. Okay? That's what that would mean. Now, in all these other quadrants, there's overlap, right? We've got overlap in these 3 quadrants. When that happens, we want you to document when you feel, what happens, because you can use our software to discern exactly what it is that's causing that dysfunction by knowing the times and knowing what parts of the body, and then you can really pinpoint what you'd want to work on. Now, please, it's pretty simple. We got to get along with everybody and we got to balance our routine. The sooner you do that, the sooner you're not going to look at these charts anymore. But this gives you a head start and a great strategy to move forward if you really want to get some progress going and get things turned around. All right, so let's end this out. The last thing we've done here for you is we posted the electromagnetics for the rest of 2024. No more mystery. When this pattern goes up, social tension goes up. When this pattern falls back down, social tension falls back down. It's manipulating our defensive design at the individual and collective level. Now, we show this to all the individuals because we want you to be prepared for this pattern so you can slow aging and you can start to reverse diseases and heal your bodies, but most importantly, eliminate the stress that makes life not as fun. And the more stress you eliminate at that individual level, the better your life's going to get. Now, if 1 or 2 people do this, we're not going to really see a big change here, okay? But if we can get regions or nations of people overcoming this pattern, we can literally change everything. all this fighting, all this feuding, all this social tension, all this destabilized weather that's happening. We can get that back in balance, but we can't do it until we overcome this pattern of chaos, and we have to do it together. That's why we're trying to inspire not only just individuals, but groups of individuals to start to do this. We need the momentum. And once we have that, well, like I said, we can change everything. Can't wait to see you in the next 24 hours.